Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I am on a journey to hear every song ever recorded, and today's podcast is going to be all about censorship in music. We're going to be diving real deep into this. We're going to be getting kind of funny about this. We're going to be talking about issues with families and society, and I hope that you'll stick around. We're gonna do a real in-depth look at this and just have some fun with it and maybe get serious too. So I feel like where we need to get started when we're talking about censorship in music is, most importantly, first we're going to define what censorship is. We're going to be using the lovely, the glorious Wikipedia. It's not for sale. And neither am I. So let's just jump into this. We got censorship is the suppression of speech, communication that is public, or other information. This can be done on the basis that such material is considered objectionable, harmful, sensitive, or inconvenient, which is in quotation marks. Censorship can also be conducted by governments, private institutions, and other bodies of controlling entities. What's interesting is that I just, an innocent guy, I went to wikipedia.org, and the first thing I get is an image of the cast of David with a fig leaf on his body. Apparently it was an issue with Queen Victoria's shock of seeing him like he was. And so there's some strategically placed hooks, ouch, that can go on there and hang a leaf on him. That's pretty wild. But that is what censorship is, and it can come from a variety of different sources. And this is something people don't think about. There can be self-censoring, which, you don't want to just say the first if you just are out on the streets screaming the first thing that comes to your mind, you're going to make people mad, you're going to make yourself mad, you're going to make yourself look stupid sometimes. We all have stupid thoughts or offensive thoughts or vulgar thoughts sometimes. And particularly in the realm of creativity, sometimes that can take our minds or our eyes or our bodies to places that you didn't really plan on going. That was written by the lovely, always lovely, Laura Jane Grace. I would like to give her a shout out in this music censorship podcast. Okay, so we're going to be moving on. We're going to take a look. That was our introduction of defining the general censorship. Have you guys ever heard the Ramones song about censorship? They changed the P to a T. And think about some words that start with P and T, why don't you? But now we're going to be talking, we got to get a little bit more specific in our definition, music censorship. And this is, again, on Wikipedia, music censorship. This refers to the practice of editing musical works for a variety of reasons, coming from a wide array of motivation, and this can include political, religious, or moral reasoning. This censorship can range from the complete government-enforced legal prohibition of musical pieces of work to voluntary private removal of content when a musical piece of art appears in a certain context. That is censorship in music. There are things like now the Wikipedia page goes on for some time, as Wikipedia is known to do. It's kind of got that Stephen King diarrhea of the mouth, if we can say that on YouTube. I'm not sure if that'll get censored or not. That was pretty gross. Decency. If the lyrics are objectionable to a considerable amount of the target audience, like profanity and the usual trappings of rock and roll, I think we've got a pretty good grasp on this. But we can look at the criticisms. Some people are upset with the radio bleeping out certain words. But, there's two sides to every argument, and we will get to that in a minute as well. But I think we've got a pretty good grasp on the definition of censorship, and focusing on, what we're talking about is going to be the censorship of popular music and unpopular music, as some of that stuff can get pretty raw and gritty. Anti-music, pretty wild stuff. So, let's see what we got here to talk about on the docket now. So, here on the channel, we are pretty Green Day obsessed, and when I say we, I am largely, objectively, subjectively talking about myself. And I've always been a proponent of free speech, and I've always been sort of anti-censorship. But we get older, we change. Sometimes you sell out, but that's a totally different thing. I don't believe in that term, selling out. That's a whole other podcast, whole other video. I think that people should be allowed a little bit more free speech than they are allowed today in 2023, soon to be 2024. And but I do have some arguments for the other side. So Green Day are the greatest artist of all time. Everybody knows that. But as a father of a kid that's just starting school, there are some things in Green Day lyrics that I do not want him to hear. Not because they're offensive to me or offensive to him, but because I don't want him repeating them, because I know that he doesn't know or understand the context of things. And the real good example of this would be songs off of American Idiot, which is one of my favorite records of all time. The title track, there's some bold statements in there about maybe I'm the blank America, and I am very open and honest with my kid, but I at kindergarten age, I can't explain that to him. I can't explain to him what that lyric means. I can explain what the word means, but I don't want to have that conversation with him right now, because he is familiar with strong language. He does hear some other people using strong language, but that word in that particular instance, I skip over that part because I don't want him repeating it at school I don't want him repeating it at school at all, but because he doesn't know the context. So he's not saying it to be hateful against a group of people. He's not saying it for any particular reason other than he likes that song by Green Day, and he's going to scream it at the top of his lungs in the middle of class. And that might be a problem. Should it be a problem? That's another thing about censorship. Say I play that song for my son. He went to school, sang it in its entirety in the middle of class with a bunch of kindergartners. What would the effects of that be? Would all of the kindergartners start using that word more freely, and then it would cause some major cataclysms down the line? And same thing with probably the even more problematic lyric from 21st Century Breakdown's American Eulogy. There's been a lot of talk of Green Day is no longer allowed to play that song live. I think they could maybe alter it a little bit, or they could keep it the way it is. I have talked to several people that would be offended by the line in American Eulogy, and they said they understand what Green Day were saying in the song, but it's still not okay. Like it shouldn't be said, even if it's being used to make a point against racism. It just it's just too easy to misconstrue. The truth is always misconstrued. To you, too much too soon. Too little now you're coming unglued. Again, going back to a millennial. I was born in 1985. And there's just, maybe in a few years, handful of years, several years, I will be ready to have that conversation with a more mature child of mine. But not right now. Not for K5. It's not happening. He can hear the song edited, or I just turn it down at that part, skip over that part. I think at one point he asked me what they said in that line, and I was like, I don't know, man. He said something about maybe he's the, I don't know, something America. I don't know. Maybe he's the goofy. Maybe he's the happy America. I don't know. So that's a little bit of a pro-censorship thing right there, just from a parent's perspective. But should we, burn all our Green Day records in a big bonfire? That's not good either. So I think it's just one of those things. Artists should be allowed to create art within reason, but reason should be encapsulating a lot of things. I think art could be a little bit more risky, but we don't need don't hurt people. Don't hurt people in any way. And I think as long as you're not hurting anyone in any way, I think your artwork should just be anything that doesn't harm anyone. And that is a gray area too. I did. Now we're going to transition away from the Green Day talk into some papers. Can we insert some paper shuffling noises? Do we have the capability to do that? I don't know. We've got a lot of bullets and Bibles to go through, but I did write a lot about this in the early 2000s, and we're gonna look at first. We got to lighten things up a little bit because this is a very sensitive topic. People get offended. What also is that a facet of this, or a faucet? I can say faucet if I want to. I can mispronounce people's names if I want to. You can wear band t-shirts that you don't even like the band, or you don't know who they are if you want to. But let's take a look. We are going to take a look at all these documents on the desktop. We got a lot of stuff going on, man. So now I do have the document open. It's the word art in Microsoft Word. I made a big old poster with all these kind of crazy, these are words that I thought it was crazy that they were bleeping out in the early 2000s. Now, as a 38-year-old man that was born in 1985, now, looking at this, I actually kind of understand some of these better, and I'm sure my teacher was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Chris isn't getting this. Some of these have gotten less offensive and some have gotten more offensive. But these are some words that I felt like should not have been bleeped out. And we're going to make sure that this is recording, guys. We got to make sure that this is recording. I hope that YouTube does not censor this. I am not being offensive. I am simply reading a list of words that I thought was kind of weird to be bleeped out. First one is GUN. It's a firearm is called GUN, and I thought that was weird that it's just bleeped out in a song. Then we got bleed. I know this is one of the songs, and we might look at the September 11th list of offensive songs, but bleed by Cold was retitled 13, even though they didn't say that, because in 2001, you just couldn't say bleed. That was extremely offensive. God! Oh! Here's one that's always bothered me, and there are a few different edits of this song, but That's Just the Way It Is by Tupac. Rat Tat Tat is like, sometimes it's bleeped out with like actual sounds of guns, sometimes it's like the reverse. I don't even know what the original is anymore. Does he say rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat? Or does he go... I don't know. Either way, those are really bad things to say. Apparently, the FCC won't let those be. The next one, yeah, I think Nickelback made this list a lot with their some of their cringe lyrics. But heroines can be super women. So I think in 2024, I think it's okay to say heroines. You know, we need some super heroines. 40. I believe this was Bowling for Soup, talking about score some reefer and a 40. And you know what? It's okay to have a 40 ounce every now and then. There's nothing wrong with saying 40 unless you're talking about my age in 2025. Don't do that. The next one comes out of Kid Rock. He's a little bit cringy these days as well. But I thought this one was a very, very strange censored word, and that is Oklahoma. And I'm going to, this is what Kid Rock said. He said, and I don't want to say it outright, but he said, it sounded like, who knew I'd... And I'm like, what? Who knew I'd... And yeah, I guess he was comparing himself to a city, and like his career was like going in a good direction, if you know what I'm saying. So then we got another Nickelback cringe fest. I like Nickelback, by the way. That's pretty cool with me. I'm hip. I have a cough as well on this podcast. Very interesting stuff here. Powder. Now, one can infer what kind of powder they're talking about. Most likely baby powder, right? The guys in Nickelback have children, I'm sure. There's some Nickelback babies. Which leads us into some other words, totally unrelated to that. Bowling for Soup, again, creaming, talking about creaming over tough guys. So the guys in Bowling for Soup, when they're not bowling for soups, they are they are making pies for other bowlers. I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about. What is a two-way, though? I'm surprised, was two-way ever bleeped out? Man, that would be hilarious if two-way was bleeped out. They should have bleeped out two-way. That's ridiculous. Beepers, bleepers, whatever. Now we got scumbag. Has that ever been, super offensive? Scumbag. I'm going to say it a few times to see if YouTube dings me for saying, scumbag on a mission. Never thought I'd see the luxury view around this place. Scumbag on a mission. That was written by Mike Dirnt, by the way. I I'm not a copyright holder of that. I do hold some copyrights, though. A candy paint remark is not offensive or vulgar anyway. It's a song I wrote about wanting to be a microwave today. Another one we got is Shoplift. I believe that's a Bowling for Soup reference. I was listening to a lot of Bowling for Soup back in the early 2000s. I was getting very upset because they kept re-releasing Drunk Enough to Dance. They probably censored the title, right? Bleep enough to bleep. You can't say that stuff. But they bleeped out shoplift in the lyrics, and I thought that was a little bit crazy. Do you think that, like, by bleeping out shoplift some sweatbands, how many sweatbands do you think were saved in Hot Topic? Like, did that, like, single-handedly save Hot Topic to become the kind of preppy shop that it is today? And is it okay that Hot Topic is a preppy shop today? I don't even know. The last time I was in Hot Topic, I gotten really skinny. My weight has went up and down, up and down. You probably can't say that on the internet either. But when my weight was down, I got some skinny jeans at Hot Topic. I got a white t-shirt because I was skinny, and it was pretty awesome. But you can't talk about white shirts and jeans anymore. Just like the next Nickelback line, we got long lines in a row. That by itself, like without context, again, none of this stuff is super offensive. Long lines in a row by Nickelback. Then I've got an S word here from Blink-182, and I probably should have gotten trouble for putting this. Maybe I should have gotten trouble for putting this in my report. It's what Mark said. Remember the classic tune, What's My Age Again? The cops looked down on this activity, apparently, according to Mark Hoopus. The cops looked down on this activity, and it does get bleeped a lot. Sometimes the cops look down and that sounds just like the song. We've got some, and I understand this is like a mental health thing, but the word wrists was bleeped out of a song too. I thought that was kind of weird back then. I actually was incorrect with this one. Smoke. When I first heard the banger, It's Been a While by Stained, I thought they were bleeping out the word smoke. Like I thought he was saying, this is smoked up. Like, as smoked up as this may seem, I know it's me. I cannot blame this on my father. He smoked the best he could for me. But it was like, as smoked up as it all may seem. This next one is interesting. I've only heard this in one instance by Uncle Kracker with a K. Is that Cracker with the C, not Cracker with the K? Cracker mother all day. You can take Gratiot South, but that's a real rough route to get found face down with your pockets hanging out. On Uncle Kracker's debut album, really great album by the way, they bleeped out gloves. And if they hadn't have bleeped it out, I maybe wouldn't have even been curious. But gloves are condoms. Why would they bleep out condoms? Like the line was, he doesn't wear gloves. He was too hardcore. Rest in peace, we don't see him anymore. Dude died because he didn't wear gloves. He was too hardcore. And then some of these other ones are like the mini Nickelback things of hit. The word hit was bleeped out. Someone was taking one, apparently. And then up. The word up was bleeped out. I don't remember exactly why. The word, this is actually an R word here. Here's an R word. that is a four-letter R word that should have been bleeped out as to not um, trigger anybody, right? And then we got middle finger. The words middle and finger bleeped out. The MF, middle finger, was bleeped out. Is that not incredible? Is that not incredibly ridiculous? I thought that was pretty freaking interesting. Okay, now we're moving on into the final section of music censorship. And real quick, before I read my school paper on censorship, I wanted to look at some things, more things on Wikipedia. It looks like the band Lost Prophets, their catalog was removed from stores, from the record company, from streaming platforms because of the actions of their lead singer. Should that have been done? Should that have been done? I gotta be honest, there's a couple of songs that I liked by that band, but the actions of their previous lead singer were bad, or were extremely bad. I would say it looks like he was charged with 29 years, and I don't think that was enough. That's dude is bad. There's some issues with Baby It's Cold Outside from 1944. There are some legal issues revolving around copyright issues. But we are going to move on. Guns N' Roses had some issues with Chinese Democracy, the title track. We got the very cool parental advisory, explicit content thing. And that's something, if you really want to see a really great movie, you need to find it. I don't know where it's available, but Dee Snider was in the parental advisory, explicit content movie. And it just went into such a fun narrative with like Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne and all those guys, Dee Snider with Twisted Sister, about them versus the parents versus Tipper Gore. So that was a really, really great movie. But now we are moving into, so we've done the censorship. We're actually moving into a similar document, but these are the lyrics, and some of these we've already talked about, the cut lyrics from songs like Bowling for Soup, Let's Shoplift Some Sweatbands in Punk Rock 101. The Creaming Over Tough Guys, she said she'd like to score some reefer in a 40, was Girl All the Bad Guys Want. While You're Looking Up at Me and You Can't Say No to Any Long Lines in a Row, The Powder in Your Nose, that's all in Nickelback's Figured You Out. It's My World, My Gun, in Cold's The End of the World. Who knew I'd blow up like... And then In the Air, Kid Rock, American Bad A, American Bad Butt, ABB. And then Kid Rock again on Where You At. He's got more rhymes than in Seattle. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat, that's the way it is. Tupac, Changes, replaced with the actual sounds of a real gun. Ridiculous. After every hit we take, 3 Days Grace, I Hate Everything About You, they lost their hit. The State Looks Down on by Blink-182's What's My Age Again. And He Didn't Wear Gloves from Aces and Eights by Uncle Kracker. We've also got the incredible song Stan by Eminem, which is just got this insane, like, there's a censored version where it's like only certain words are censored, and it's like they're letting big F-bombs go, but then they're bleeping out stupid stuff like cut and bleed in my car and doing 90 on the freeway. See, I'm just like you in a way. I never knew my either. He used to always up, and I even myself to see him bleeds, and we too. I'm in a right now. Slim, you dare me to? I feel Collins air to the night about the. I feel saw it all his show, and that's kind of how it is. You could have rescued me from. Now it's on the thousand. Now it's like, and they're letting F-bombs go, but they're bleeping out all this, and all I wanted was the letter or a call. I hope I know. You Slim, we could have together. I think you ruined it. I hope you can't, and you about it. And when you dream, I hope you can't, and you about it. I hope it eats at you, and you can't without me. See, I'm trying to talk. Hey, Slim, that's my girlfriend. But I just see, cause she that too. If about you like to meant to be some. That's essentially, I just recited how it sounds when you hear that song on the radio. Other changes include Nirvana's Bleep Me, which is altered to Waif Me on items sold at Walmart, although the lyrics stay the same. But what is a waif? A waif is a homeless, neglected, or abandoned person, especially a child. She is foster mother to various waifs and strays, or gutter snipe, or street urchins, or ragamuffins, or abandoned infant foundlings. Holy moly, Eminem! And now Eminem, he's got some wild songs out there, man. Nirvana, they got some pretty cool stuff out there. They got some good music. The title of Bleed by Cold was changed to 13 on the music video, yet the words are still in the lyrics for some reason. Scumbag, replaced with asterisks on iTunes. It just says S, asterisk, 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 asterisk. Shouldn't asterisk be bleeped out? The moans on Kid Rock's Feel Like Making Love are cut out. Andrew WK's album cover has a huge black sticker over the front of it because there's a picture of him with a bloody nose, thought to be some sort of horrible reference to something bad. There's so many things. Wrapping things up, we are going to be looking at 2 additional documents. The first one is going to be the songs that were banned after September 11th, 2001. We have a lot of songs, and many of these don't make sense. Some of them maybe don't play them for like a few months, but man, Alice in Chains just got roasted. They got chained even harder with Rooster, Sea of Sorrow, Down in a Hole, and Them Bones. Beastie Boys, Sure Shot, and Sabotage. The Cult, Firewoman. Everclear, Santa Monica, because it said Watch the World Die. Filter, Hey Man, Nice Shot. Foo Fighters, Learn to Fly. Savage Garden, Crash and Burn. Dave Matthews Band, Crash Into Me. Bangles, Walk Like an Egyptian. Pretenders, My City Was Gone. Alanis Morissette, Ironic. Bare Naked Ladies, Falling for the First Time. Fuel, Bad Day. Korn, Falling Away From Me. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Aeroplane, and Under the Bridge. Smashing Pumpkins. Bullet with Butterfly Wings. Peter Gabriel, When You're Falling. System of a Down. They got really messed up. Chop Suey, their album dropped on the day. That was really bad for System of a Down. They still managed to be super duper successful. Lenny Kravitz, Fly Away. Oh, I'm so sick of that song. It should be banned. It got played too much. Tom Petty, Free Fallin'. Bruce Springsteen, I'm on Fire and Going Down. Phil Collins and The Air to the Night. Also, we mentioned that about Stan. Remember when Collins sang about in the Tonight? Limp Bizkit, Break Stuff. You can't break stuff. Green Day, Brain Stew. Oh man. Temple of the Dog, Say Hello to Heaven. That's offensive. Sugar Ray, Fly. Local H, Bound to the Floor. Slipknot, Left Behind, Wait and Bleed. Bush, Speed Kills. 311, Down. Stone Temple Pilots, Dead and Bloated. Soundgarden, Fell on Black Days. Black Hole Sun, Blow Up the Outside World. Metallica, Seek and Destroy. Harvester of Sorrow, Enter Sandman, Fade to Black. You can't play Metallica anymore. Nine Inch Nails, Head Like a Hole. Godsmack, Bad Religion. Tool, Intolerance. You can't say intolerance? That's crazy. Nina, 99 Luft Balloons / 99 Red Balloons. It's a great song. AC/DC got royally bleeped with Shot Down in Flames, Shoot the Thrill, Dirty Deeds, Highway to Hell, Safe in New York City, TNT, Hell's Bells. Can't talk about so stupid. Black Sabbath, War Pigs. Black Sabbath, again, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne, Solution. I can't say that word on YouTube. Kansas, Dust in the Wind. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. The Beatles, A Day in the Life, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Ticket to Ride, Oobla-dee, Obla-da. Bob Dylan, Knocking on Heaven's Door, and all the covers. Arthur Brown, who is that? Fire. Blue Oyster Cult, Burning for You. Paul McCartney, Live and Let Die. Jimi Hendrix, Hey Joe. Jackson Brown, Doctor My Eyes. John Mellencamp, Crumbling Down and Paper in Fire. U2, Sunday Bloody Sunday. Boston Smokin'. Billy Joel, Only the Good Die Young. Dio, Holy Driver. Steve Miller Band, Jet Airliner. Van Halen, Jump. Queen, Another One Bites the Dust, and Killer Queen. Got by the jitteries, what by the laser beams, what did to blow your mind. Pat Benatar, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, and Love is a Boodlefield. Oingo Boingo, Dead Man's Party. REM is the world of the world as we know it. Talking Heads, Burning Down the House. Judas Priest, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. Pink Floyd, Run Like Heck, and Mother. John Parr, St. Elmo's Fire. Barry McGuire, Eve of Destruction. Steen, Na 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 Na, Hey 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 Hey. Drifters on Broadway. Shelley Fabares, Johnny Angel. Los Bravos, Black is Black. Peter and Gordon, I Go to Pieces in a World Without Love. Elvis Presley, You're the Devil in Disguise. Zombies, She's Not There, that's a good song. Elton John, Benny and the Jets, Daniel, and Rocket Man all got canceled. Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire. Santana, Evil Ways. Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. Youngbloods, Get Together. Come on, people now, say it together, burn of other, one brother, watch it go, Ad-libs, The Boy from New York City. Peter, Paul, and Mary, Blowing in the Wind. Peter, Paul, and Mary, Leaving on a Jet Plane. Rolling Stones, Ruby Tuesday. Simon and Garfunkel. That new Rolling Stones album is good. Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Happening. We're almost done. Happening. See You in September. Carole King, I Feel the Earth Move Under Your Skin. Yeager and Evans in the year 2525. That is a long time from now. I'll be 240. I think. I don't know. No, I don't know. Norman Greenbaum, I was wrong. Spirit in the Sky. Brooklyn Bridge, Worst That Could Happen. 3 Degrees, When Will I See You Again? Cat Stevens, Peace Train, and Morning Has Broken. Jan and Dean, Dead Man's Curve. I love that song. Martha and the Vandellas, Nowhere to Run. And Dancing in the Streets. Hollies, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Sam Cooke, Wonderful World. Petula Clark, A Sign of the Times. Don McLean, American Pie. You cannot cancel American Pie. J. Frank Wilson, Last Kiss. Buddy Holly, That'll Be the Day. John Lennon, Imagine. Barry, Bobby, Darren, Mac the Knife. The Clash, Rock the Casbah. Sulphurous, Wipeout. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and When I Die. Dave Clark 5, Bits and Pieces. Tramps, Disco Inferno. Paper Lace, The Night Chicago Died. Frank Sinatra, New York, New York. Creedence Clearwater Revival, Traveling Band, The Gap Band, You Dropped a Bomb on Me, Alien Ant Farm, Smooth Criminal, Classic, Three Doors Down, Duck and Run, The Doors, The End, Third Eye Blind, Jumper, Neil Young, America, Skeeter Davis, The End of the World, Ricky Nelson, Traveling Man, Chi Lights, Have You Seen Her, Animals, We Gotta Get Out of This Place, Fontella Bass, Rescue Me, Mitch Ryder, Devil with the Blue Dress, James Taylor, Fire and Rain, Edward Starr, Bruce Springsteen on War, Leonard Skinner, Tuesday's Gone with the Wind. Metallica can sing it, though. Drowning Pool Bodies. It's about moshing, you doofus. Mudvayne, Death Blooms. Megadeth, Dread and the Fugitive. Megadeth, Sweat and Bullets. Saliva, Click Click Boom. They're a good live band. And POD, Boom. All of those were canceled until further notice. That was a long time ago, though. And now we are going to read. That's right, people. We're going to read some more. This is written by Chris Norwood in English 101 to 110, April 22nd, 2004. It's 1,119 words. Essay goal. I want my reader to see how censorship plays a big role in our society and how it is wrong. Now, this is 20 years ago, so I don't necessarily agree with myself anymore, but let's read it anyway. The death of the First Amendment, censorship. It is impossible to go one day, if not a few hours, without encountering at least some form of art. Whether you have a passion and understanding of it, or simply there, you see it, you hear it. Art is inarguably, a massive part of human existence, and censorship is just a big part of it. From the early days of the Catholic Church, where music itself was considered vulgar, blasphemous, and not a part of worship, all the way to today's post-September 11th world, where a man cannot wear a shirt promoting peace inside a mall, we are all living in a world where something as innocent as give peace a chance is pushed into the vulgar spotlight. Why? Why has the First Amendment been bent and broken so many times in the last 200 years? The First Amendment is number one for a reason. The freedom of speech is the most important one we have and should not be manipulated or corrupted any more than it already has been. Music is one of the most popular forms of art in present day. While there is an infinite variety to choose from, almost no one hates music altogether. There are a few people I've met like that. Being so prevalent, however, also means being the most scrutinized. When it first became part of higher society hundreds of years ago, it was not allowed in churches. In recent years, music has faded and faced controversy after controversy. While the First Amendment clearly states that any speech is allowed as long as it does not cause physical harm, people still argue that filthy films, books, and music should not be permitted. This is according to Stein's 12. If art and freedom of expression is only a crime when it causes violence in real life, then the real question is this: does life imitate art? And an example here would be Slipknot music. After an incident in Littleton, Colorado, musician Marilyn Manson seemed to get more blame than the criminals themselves. In the film Bowling for Columbine, director Michael Moore gave the shock rocker a chance to take his own stance. Manson says, "When I was a kid growing up, music was the escape. Art is a separate entity altogether from real life." This is a short argument. Some argue that creations, such as the one Manson makes, are indeed causing violence, such as this speaker at a site for Marilyn Manson's impending show. Some will be so brash to ask if we believe that all who hear Manson tomorrow night will go out and commit violent acts. The answer is no. Does everybody who watches a Lexus ad go out and buy a Lexus? No. But a few do. At first glance, this seems like a valid argument, but the key problem with this man's speech lies within his Lexus comparison. He clearly states that not all who listen to Manson become criminals. Of the millions of shock rock fans in the world, a handful, if not just two, actually commit violent crimes. If the art were indeed causing the problem, everyone who came in contact it would be doing this. That was not the case in that city. The blame should clearly be on the audience, not the entertainer. The odd title of that film, Bowling for Columbine, also reveals a valid, albeit sarcastic remark. Along with listening to foul music and wearing black clothes, the two individuals were in a bowling class. They bowled a game just hours before the event. So if Marilyn Manson can be blamed, why can't bowling be blamed? Also, if fingers are being pointed, there were bigger forces at play on that fateful day. Michael Moore stated that former President Clinton dropped more items on a country that day than any other time during the war, and this goes in line with what Marilyn Manson stated. The president is doing this overseas, yet I'm a bad guy because I sing some rock and roll songs. Who's the bigger influence, the president or Marilyn Manson? I'd like to think me, but I'll go with the president. I think it's really ironic that nobody said maybe the president had an influence. That's not the way the media takes it. That's not the way the media wants to take it. It's time that people were blamed for these things and not random influences in their life being used as scapegoats. Art does not hurt. People hurt. While most agree that censorship in this country has indeed went too far, there are still those that insist that people's artistic expressions need to be locked away from the public eye, using perhaps one of the only things that has the authority over government created and controlled laws. These people claim to have the Holy Bible on their side. They claim that the Bible clearly states that profanity is wrong, but while the good book does show what should and should not be said, today's profane statements are not specifically mentioned as crimes in this way. The only form of sinful speech, it would seem, is that which harms or puts down another person. This sounds very similar to our First Amendment. There are dozens of passages remarking on verbal sins, but none even remotely close to cussing is wrong. Ephesians 4:2-9 says to watch what you say and speak only to help others. Other verses restate and add to that, like, may your words be good, you will be glad you did. Words can bring life and death, which is Proverbs 18:20-21, or do not misuse my name in Exodus 27. This is one of the only direct references to what not to come out of a person's mouth. The point of these and other related verses is to be kind to others, which is directly linked to our present day First Amendment. The amendment and the Holy Bible itself correlate in that speech of any kind is okay as long as it does not harm someone. Simply saying that bad words do not harm anyone. Why are they cut out of our lives? Why are they bad to begin with? Only a certain select few are censored, so who is the one that decides which ones are worse than others? There does not seem to be any reasoning or clear-cut lines behind the choices made in that matter. This matter. In a country where citizens have a choice in what channel their TV is on and whether to leave it there, that screen should be an open canvas for artists in that field. If the viewer does not want to see it, they can simply switch the channel. This is the very idea of freedom, and yet also what group after group of conservatives want to take away from the public. The censorship that is presently taking place has no specific target and is thus meaningless. It is time for our First Amendment to be put to use and our freedom of speech given to us.